From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Shofetim, a judge's judgment. We know that the Parsha opens up by saying, Shofetim Mishotarim, you should appoint judges. Tzedek, tzedek tirdov, you should certainly pursue justice. And lo tatem mishpat, you shouldn't pervert justice. What does it take to be a judge? What kind of judgment does a judge need? So I want to look at the Rambam and all the different laws. There are actually 30 laws related to laws of Hilchos Sanhedrin, the laws of being a judge in the Sanhedrin, the great 71 elders of Israel, and being a special judge. And I want to notice the balance that a judge has to maintain. On the one hand, a judge has to be a great intellect. He has to. You can't appoint someone if doesn't know what they're doing. At the same time, also shelo yilmad chova mishlamad zchut. One moment. Then sometimes a judge has to execute. Sometimes there's skila, srifa, hereg, and chenek. There are 4 types of death penalties. There's sometimes you have to give lashes to people in those days. And in fact, you're not allowed to have mercy on someone who's a murderer, or someone who even someone who merely hits someone. You can't have mercy on them. And you can't even have mercy on the poor. On the one hand, the Rambam starts his laws of judgment by quoting a pasuk, "Petach picha shvat tzedek v'din ani v'evyon," and you should judge justice. You should judge the judgment of the poor. Isn't the role of a judge, after all, to help the poor? No. Don't have extra compassion on the poor. You have to judge the judgment. You have to have impeccable judgment, not based on whether he's rich or poor. That's charity. That's something else. In justice, one person's right, one's wrong. It doesn't matter if he's rich or poor. Also, you have to be tough, that you cannot lift up the rich either. Those who are big and famous and powerful, you have to stand up to them as well. You can't give special honor to them. You can't, when one of the litigants walks in the room, you can't stand up. "Oh, Rabbi, it's nice to see you," and then pretend to be judging with the two of them. This idea that the judge has to be tough is continued. Lowly ra bedin meish zroa. You're not allowed to be afraid even of someone who is powerful and strong. Can't take any bribes, as it says in this week's parsha. So on the one hand, the judge has to be wise, the judge has to be tough, and the judge has to do tough things like execution. And he doesn't do the execution himself, but he pronounces the execution. The judge has to sometimes give lashes. He can't have mercy just because someone is poor. If he's guilty, he's guilty. He has to stand up to those who try to bribe him, those who are rich and powerful. On the other hand, there are a number of mitzvot within these 30 mitzvot for a judge that show that the opposite type of person is necessary. Number 1, you're hanging someone. You have to bury him. Don't leave his body on the tree overnight. Don't give any more lashes than you should. 39, not one more. You give one more, you're in violation. If someone did something by mistake, or was forced, or someone was raped, don't punish someone who had no choice, or didn't know what they were doing, who was forced to be in that position. Don't judge people negatively if they were just based on your thoughts. Omed dad, you have a circumstantial idea that perhaps they were guilty. No, you can't kill innocent people like that. They have to be proven guilty. And if there's a sinner, you have to judge them too. If there's a sinner, you can't say, well, I'm going to I'm going to get that guy for being a sinner. No. Is he guilty in this case or not? That's the question. Not whether he sinned 3 years ago or 2 nights ago. That's not the question. So the judge, on the one hand, has to be blessed with this idea of mercy he can't be vengeful against the wicked just because they're wicked in some other case. So the judge has to be part of the burial society, has to make sure that the person is buried. But on the other hand, the judge has to be tough. I think most of the mitzvot are about being tough. But on the other hand, once he proclaims that someone is guilty of murder, he can't change his mind. There is an idea of itzilu aida, that sometimes your role is to save the person. So, what does it mean to be a judge? Judge has to stand for justice against all else. No other values don't come into play. It's not a time to take out your anger on the sinners. It's not a time to create, to change the balance of power in the world of those who are on the top and those who are on the bottom, those who are weak and those who are poor, and move them up. Whoever is guilty is guilty. Whoever is innocent is innocent. On the other hand, there's an idea of that there should be mercy within the judgment. There's an idea that you should try to forget all about justice and judgment and who's right and who's wrong. Start off, Yikov Ahar Dadim, try to make a compromise. Compromise? What about the truth? What do you mean compromise? This one's right, this one's wrong. Yeah, but try to bring peace. Peace is the highest value, a higher value, some in the Talmud argue, than this. So we say pursue justice, and maybe we have some sort of notion that a judge would be sort of a social activist and try to right the wrongs of society. But actually, the judge is more narrowly focused on the truth of this particular case that's in front of him or of the particular judge. So, what does it take to be a judge? What kind of judgment do you need to be a judge? You have to be tough, but you have to know when there's. It's important also to be merciful, to not to bring in outside judgments, and that as much as we want to execute the wicked, you can't base that merely on circumstantial evidence, or you're just a feeling that you have about something. You have to have really, truly hard evidence. The Jewish bar for evidence is extremely high. So, we say every day, we pray that the judges should be restored to the way they were once upon a time. That's our prayer as we read Parshat Shofetim this week. That's our hope. The kings, the leaders, the Kohanim, the leaders, the rabbis, everyone should be able to reach this level of being able to pursue justice, pursue the right way, but in the right way as well. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfard Beth El's congregation for our discussion of the Parsha. Join us each week for the discussion of holidays. And thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit asb.org.